The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of non-canon Star Wars authors from the 80s to 2010s. General Leia Organa dispatches Astrogoblin to find out if these mysterious transmissions are actually kind of cool, or if hot garbage, with Dianoga, of course, once dominated the galaxy. Welcome to the Galactic Book Club.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this. I've got a bad
Feeling about this.
feeling about this.
Please, Astrogoblin, you're my only channel I can fall asleep to.
Oh my goodness.
Die.
Hello, everybody.
It's about family. We're doing a Star Wars podcast.
They said it couldn't be done.
They said it.
Who?
They took all the names of every podcast.
Our haters, probably.
Oh, okay.
Our detractors.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, this podcast did have an alternate name that we were floating. And,
What was it?
it was like Darth Thanatos' private library. We have a whole list of names.
We were going through Wikipedia. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think later maybe we can read through the list of names that we
Yeah,
have,
absolutely.
just
But
like we did for Astrogoblin.
we're doing a Star Wars podcast because there's a whole treasure trove of expanded universe stuff out there. And we reminisce about it a lot.
That's why we all have e-readers.
That's why
Two
I
of us
got
bought new e-readers
I
just
put
so we
one
could read this
on
shit.
my wedding
So
registry.
you have a tablet and an e-reader and
And
a
a
phone.
phone.
You
Oh, I
have
should get
an
my e-reader. It's over
iPad.
here.
Yeah, he's going to get his Kindle.
I just have my e-reader.
highlights in it.
I mean, I have a phone. I guess I could take my phone out too.
Yeah, if you want to. I
Yeah.
mean, my phone is for looking up quick information. The e-readers because I have some notes that I put on there while I was not at my computer,
We do
and the
3
tablet is for my
tablets.
Google Doc.
Yeah.
We have so many screens. I should mention you might be listening to this because it is a publicly available RSS feed. But if you want to see our gorgeous, beautiful faces, you just have to join the Astrogoblin Patreon, where we have a video version of this podcast.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And there's
that's
a lot
crazy.
of there's a lot of pictures in these books. So
There's
you wanna
lightsabers.
If you want to see
yeah,
those.
I didn't have pictures in my version.
No,
You
I
can't
know.
see
I
it.
gave you the wrong version. I gave you a.
Audio,
We'll rectify it for the next
audio
time.
listeners can't see this. I'm waving a lightsaber around.
Oh God.
He is.
Who
Anyway.
wrote this? Paul?
Paul and
and
Paul
Hollis.
Davids and Paul and Hollis.
Davids.
Didn't they?
I took a few notes about them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I remember there's a rightward tilt later in life, right? Am I making that up?
I don't
I have
remember
no
if that was
clue.
it, but there was something funny about them.
I will preface before we're talking about the authors, but on this podcast, this brand new Star Wars podcast, we're taking a little journey back to 1992.
Is that when this was written?
Yes.
This is the fourth, I want to say.
There was a handful of books before this. Very early on, there was Splinter of the Mind's
yeah.
Eye.
That's
and then
the very
there was,
first one.
There was like 4 or 5 like Han Solo and Lando focused books after that.
There's there's the Lando trilogy, the Han Solo trilogy, and Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which are all kind of like
Just little adventures.
throw them out there.
Yeah.
It's just a little like generally I don't think we're considered really canon.
Yeah. And then came
Heir to the
Empire.
Yeah.
A glorious, amazing book.
Which is the first of like
The Thrawn trilogy from Timothy Zahn.
but also like the first of the kind of real expanded
like
universe.
we're making a written universe
Yeah.
in Star Wars, and it's
Yeah.
starting right here.
and then I think it's Heir to the Empire, and then maybe the second one.
I think this came out right
And then-
after Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, so this is like the second EU, like
Yeah.
real EU thing ever.
And what this is we're
We didn't
reading
even say what it's called,
a
yeah.
series of 6 novels that
Yeah.
kind of just gets referred to as the Jedi Prince series.
Novels is in quotes because
They're like
Yeah.
55
pages long.
pages long in
Even
Kindle.
novella feels
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit much.
It's a short story.
They're for kids. They're for kids.
My e-reader opened and it was probably 200 pages because the font size
Yeah.
like 3 words per
Yeah.
page.
It was like, the Galactic Empire has started, and ... next
Yeah,
page.
it would be like reading a book on billboards on a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are children's books.
Yes.
I don't.
They're
Now
like
I'm
junior reader books.
Yeah.
juvenile fiction.
I
is what
wouldn't
this
even
calls.
put them in young adult.
No, it's
No,
not.
not
It's
even close.
between.
But I guess it's for babies, but also like someone with such an idea of how children read that feels mean.
It's really
Right.
Yeah, it's like
It's like everything is over-explained.
Yep.
There is like I have so many notes.
It's like, this
here.
is a book for like whatever. It's a dumb kid. I'm going to write it for a dumb kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get in. I want to read the synopsis of the book, which is also the entire book. And also, these books aren't the easiest to get a hold of. So if you want to listen to the official Astrogoblin reading of the Jedi Prince series, you can become a patron and access that now.
We've read every single passage ourselves for your listening pleasure. So if you're driving to work or something on your
Yeah.
commute, you want to read along with us, but don't have time to sit down and crack open a book, we got you.
And
you go.
we'll release them alongside the series so you can listen through us reading the book, and then you can listen to us reacting to it.
We do the voices. We do the droid noises.
The foosweep boobs.
The whaladon songs.
Kaba-am of the thermal detonator.
Slave.
We say slaves.
We say slave a lot.
So yeah, if you want to head over to patreon.com/astrogoblin, just $5 a month, you get access to all kinds of great stuff that we normally do for YouTube, and now extra goodies, including the video version of this recording that we did ourselves. These are available if you want to read along with us. I mean, like, it takes like an hour to read if you want to hear
Yeah.
our thoughts, or
Or
if you want to
easy to
listen to it,
find.
read it, and come back. I think
Yeah.
it's
43 minutes, I think, was
yes,
the total reading
I've
time.
never read an EU book before. I think I
Yeah.
bought one after Force
this is a
Awakens, where I was like,
great
"Oh,
place
this
to
is kind of
start.
neat. Maybe this Finn character is someone they'll do something with."
Right.
And I got the first like
Aftermath?
new canon,
Yeah, Aftermath, Catalyst.
and it sucked.
Yeah, well,
I
Chuck
was like,
Wendig, your favorite
Oh.
guy.
Hey, he's got some
That's
opinions.
right.
Yeah.
But before I get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about the author, his writing style, because
Right.
I haven't
His
read.
and hers. It's a husband-wife combo.
Is
Yes.
Hollister?
Paul and Hollis David.
Yeah, they're
Hollis.
married.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
And they
Okay.
wrote some Transformers and Garbage Pail Kids episodes.
They wrote Garbage Pail
No,
Kids?
like animated show, not like the movie.
Oh,
Well, Paul Davids
still.
was additional crew on the Transformers movie,
What?
not the Michael Bay one.
He did-
Transformers
he did
the
some
movie.
the
rewrites.
movie. Yeah.
He was the best boy.
Yeah. Okay.
But I haven't read like a book for, I want to say, an 8-year-old in a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
But this feels, maybe I'm remembering it differently. This feels so much more poorly written. Like, it's not that it's simple.
It's like it was written by a 12-year-old.
It's written by, yeah, with like
Yeah.
so much lead in the water that the ADHD is off the charts and like needs to
I-
clarify everything.
Yes, of
like
course.
nothing is left up to interpretation. There's a part later where they're in the oceans of Calamari,
Yeah.
which he goes into a lot of detail. But Luke sees something come out of the big submarine, and it's a small sub that Luke guessed was an emergency escape vehicle exited the whaladon hunting submarine,
remember that.
but now is being used for exploration, not
Yeah.
for escape. It's like, why do you need to say
Of
that?
course.
Why do you even need to say it's an escape vessel? Like, wait,
I
just
mean,
say
just a
sub-
small vessel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that just then this happened.
They
And
ref-
just when he was thinking it actually happened.
They
We
refer
should,
to it
uh,
as the Imperial Escape Vessel or something like that, like 10 times.
I
Yes.
know.
Every time there's a, we should. First of all,
Yeah, let's-
the book is called The Glove of Darth Vader.
yeah. The whole.
Let's read the
conceit.
synopsis.
Yeah. Read the synopsis.
Yes, I
the
have
back
it. I
of the
have
book.
it pulled up.
Here's the book.
There it is. There
Yeah.
it is.
See, it's about. It's. I mean,
Can I see it?
my
it
pinky's thicker than the.
well, you do got a
the
thick
pages.
pinky.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. There's a lot to take in on this. Leia's face, her expression.
So the art is done by.
The art's cool.
No, it's no. The cover art is what's his face? The Struzan.
Barbara Streisand.
It probably says in here. I don't remember off the
I
top
don't know.
of my
We
head.
can look into that later. But why don't you read the synopsis, Jacob?
Oh yeah. You got
the
it.
book
You got it.
there.
So, we got here in bigger font.
Yep.
The Death Star has been destroyed. The Empire is in ruins, but the dark side lives on. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and the Rebel Alliance have fought valiantly against the evil Galactic Empire. They have kept alive the hopes for freedom. They helped restore the ways of the Old Republic with its wise Senate and noble line of Jedi Knights, but now a new threat awaits the Alliance. Within the evil empire, the surviving Imperial warlords have been fighting among themselves for power. No one knows who will seize control, but the prophets of the dark side have foretold that soon a new emperor will arise, and on his right hand he shall wear an indestructible symbol of evil, the Glove of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I love how
One big fist on the back.
I love how clear they are that the Empire's evil.
Yes.
Even the Empire themselves are like, yes, soon our evil Empire.
Yeah.
Like they
When the
say
grand
dark greeting.
Dark greetings.
Dark
That's right.
greetings.
You can
Yeah.
almost feel the evil
Yeah.
of Darth Vader, like
Yeah.
because we've seen in some of the better, which there's not much, new Star Wars, like Andor, the people that are the boots on the ground for the Empire. A lot of them are just doing what they think is right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like
They're
if
just
you ask them, they
complacent.
wouldn't go dark greetings. They would just be
Right.
like, "Listen, I'm trying to feed my family."
I just want to
Yeah.
watch the fireworks
But
show.
in this one, it's
Yeah.
like I can't wait to be evil.
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
greetings, and it's so kind of prescient. And
They're more
'cause
like
this is
Sauron-esque, where they're just trying to impose order.
Yes,
You know?
yes, exactly,
Like,
exactly.
Well, I guess Sauron's pretty evil too, but
No, he's
you
actually very
understand what I
evil.
mean.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's his main goal, is to just impose order on the world.
Oh, of course.
which is
of
something you
course.
strive for.
Nope. No.
You're into the same
No,
stuff.
no.
But it's kind of prescient because like this is before both prequel and sequel trilogy, and
Right.
you're reading this and it's like, so nothing changed.
Yeah.
it's like so everything's the
Well,
same-ish. Well, the Grand Moffs are meeting.
Because at least in the Heir to the Empire books, it's pretty clear that it's like the Imperial remnant,
Yes.
who is on the
They're
they're kind of on the run.
on the run. They just need money to fund their
Yeah.
military efforts.
It's a much more like stripped down organization that sort of is aspiring to like they see themselves as still this lofty kind of like
Right,
grand
yeah, but
project.
they're not what they once were.
But essentially they're like a pretty well equipped terrorist group.
But
Yeah.
in this book, the Imperial
It's like-
Grand Moffs are still pretty much running shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the rebels are very much like under the heel.
But there is a new republic.
Yeah.
It's really unclear like how
Well,
the galaxy is functioning.
I think
currently.
an important thing to mention is nothing is explained in this book.
Nope.
There is
or it's way too explained.
yeah, well, there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff
Important
that has a
stuff.
ton of
Oh, yeah,
padding.
yeah.
They go into you can tell they're really excited about specifically how Trioculus can shoot lightning and what that does to his body,
Yeah,
and also
yeah,
about his
yep.
third eye.
You
which
bring up
we'll get into.
Trioculus.
Yes.
We have some character illustrations here, and we should get into the characters from each
Yeah.
the Rebel Alliance and the
A
Empire.
rogues gallery.
So, Rebel Alliance, you're going to know a lot of these faces. You
Yes.
got Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, C-3PO, R2-D2, Mon Mothma,
Yep.
Admiral Ackbar, who plays a major
Akbar
part.
is like, yeah,
I
really
do-
in this.
I highlighted a passage where they referred to Admiral Ackbar as a sad-eyed fishman.
I did too.
yeah, same. I highlighted that. Okay, Empire.
Admiral Ackbar, the sad-eyed fishman.
Yep.
And this you won't know any of these characters.
No, you got it. Everyone's
Yeah.
going to know
You will.
these.
You will.
Okay,
You will.
so we've got our villain, Trioculus, a mutant with 3 eyes. One's right in the middle of his forehead.
Yep.
Then you've got Grand Moff Hissa, who's got pointy teeth.
Yep.
And
Very.
you've got their droid, MD5. Then Grand Moff Muzzer, Grand Moff Dunhausen, Grand Moff Thistleborn,
Yeah.
Captain Dunwell. And
Yep.
guess what he looks like? He looks like an old
don't
sailor.
remember. Oh, yes.
He's the captain of the Whaladon hunting.
I know who Captain Dunwell is.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about him.
And then
Yep.
final character of the Empire, Aqualish Alien.
Yeah.
Yo, the Aqualish catch so many strays.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, they're on a whale hunting sub at the end, which, you're,
It's
believe
way
me,
of
between
water.
the beginning,
It's way of
way of
water.
water. Yeah.
Way of water is Glove of Darth
It's a lot
Vader.
about
Yeah.
ecology and, like, the simple majesty of our brothers, the whale.
Yes.
Like,
Our Pyakoon friends. Leviathor.
Leviathor.
I just want to say, the Grand Moffs, I went through the glossary, which is really fun. And
Oh, yeah.
they're written like dwarfs.
yeah.
There's the tall, pointy teeth one. There's the Grand Moff Muzzer, who's plump and
The
round
fat
faced.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does it say about Grand Moff Muzzer? Grand Moff Muzzer, the plumpest and most round-faced of the Grand Moffs. Which is so silly. And then there's the one with pointed teeth. There's the one with bushy eyebrows, who's authoritative and loyal.
Thistleborn.
That's Thistleborn, that's right. And then there's Grand Moff Dunhausen, who wears earrings shaped like laser pistols. He's lean and very crafty.
That is crazy. The earrings
They're
shaped like laser
guns.
pistols.
In the picture, he has little laser pistol earrings.
That's one of the gayest things I've ever seen. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's
Grand
the Empire.
Moff
Yeah.
Dunhausen is here, and he has some serious doubts about Trioculus'
Yeah.
claim to the throne.
Which I will say, like, a lot of the characters in this just kind of move things forward.
Yeah.
But
Do they?
C-3PO, they did right. C-3PO,
Yeah,
They nailed.
I read it in
3PO.
Anthony Daniels' voice. It just is C-3PO.
I highlighted this as like kind of a so the book really like uses up as many words as it can to like say things from the movies.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yes,
like-
there's things about. I don't have a good feeling about this.
A lot
is
of
in
that
there.
stuff, yeah.
But then they revisit it. It's like, why don't you have a good feeling? That good feeling was right.
yeah. So I did. This is just to give you an idea of the writing. Kind of this is a 3PO quote, but he says, "No, I don't think you look wonderful," replied 3PO, who was an expert at translating 6 million galactic languages and understood all of R2's beeps, buzzes, and whistles.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of which, I got some R2 quotes here. We got Chapiz Fooch.
Yep.
We got Pachuk Fuiz Mebatong Knuzush. Duit Bachu Tsinzit.
Yep.
I highlighted a lot of R2 things. There is also a C-3PO quote where I think that they're about to get crushed by rocks or sucked into the whaladon sub, and it's written with like 6 O's. He goes, "Oh no, we're doomed!" And there's nothing else like that in the book. Also, it really threw me off that R2 and 3PO are written phonetically.
This is something that I didn't think about because
Yeah.
we're probably really used to it. But then
Yeah.
Charlotte brought it up to me. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a thing they do in Star Wars
yeah.
books.
THREEPIO, 3PO, and
Yeah.
CSEE, and
SEE.
then R2, ARTOO, and then D2 is DETOO, which
Yeah.
seems to me like R2 D2.
In
Detoha.
most books, they never refer to him as R2D. It's always R2.
Just R2.
Yeah.
But that phonetic spelling is just
That's in
a
pretty
thing
much everything. Yeah.
in all the books.
Has
I don't know
never
why,
occurred to
but
me.
yeah.
It also,
well, we should talk about what happens in the book.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
should
All right.
start at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning,
yeah.
huh?
You're right. I have so many notes and things about droids.
Yeah,
We'll
let's
get
go.
into
Let's
it,
go.
don't worry.
Let's get through the plot here.
Yeah.
So, like, we got the beginning. The Luke's dressing up R2 and and 3PO for a secret mission to Kessel.
He's making them green.
They're not happy about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
They're-
R2 seems fine with it.
He doesn't
Honestly.
give a shit, yeah.
But he's like changing their like coverings and stuff so they can go undercover on Kessel at the spice mines of Kessel.
Yeah. Which,
And-
Which calls to mind the 12 standard time units that
Yeah,
Han's.
or Han's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I wrote it
one
here.
time I did make the Kessel run in 12
12 standard time parts.
Yeah, they don't say parsecs.
Oh.
It's 12 standard time parts is what he says.
Okay.
yeah.
That's a strange
so Han Solo
reference.
is in the beginning on,
Yeah.
on Yavin 4, right? Is where it
Yeah.
all
Yeah, that's
starts?
where
So,
the base is. Their
I
base is.
think every single planet that's in the original Star Wars trilogy is mentioned at least once in this book.
Yes.
Which is funny because,
There's a part where they just run through every planet.
yes.
Like the Imperials are trying
They're
to
trying to
find
figure
a
out,
new
like,
where
base,
can we put it?
and they
Yes.
just list every base where they lost.
Grand
Or
Moff's
every
like,
planet where they lost.
Tatooine. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to go to Mos Eisley. What about
Bespin.
Bespin?
What about?
Yeah.
And he goes, "No, we can't go to Bespin. We're already delivering all of our weapons there.
And then
Yeah.
he
Or
says
we're
like,
making them."
What about Hoth? And
Yeah.
then there's like, that will do.
They're like, the rebels won't suspect us being there.
It's
like,
so
just come
funny
up with a
that
new
they're
planet.
like, Hoth is the perfect thing.
Yeah.
It's perfectly defensible. I'm like, but you are the ones that
They tore
boxed
it up.
them in and
Yeah,
killed a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of people. Yeah.
So we're talking about the Grand Moffs. Let's get into Kessel.
Well, before we get to Kessel, can I talk about Han Solo and Leia?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So we're
yeah,
on
yeah.
the cover of this book.
Yeah.
And then very quickly, it's like, don't worry, they're not in this book.
No.
Leia's begging Han to stay, and he says, "No, I got a piece of
Oh, yeah.
sky from Lando,
He
and
leased
now
him
I
a
can
piece of
finally,
sky."
me and Chewie are gonna build my dream sky house." And then she says, "What?" And he says, "A man's got to do what a man's got to
Yep.
do." And then
Yeah.
he's not in the rest of the book.
Okay,
And
so
she's- yeah.
spoilers for the next books. He does get that sky
Yeah.
house.
And the house is pretty sick.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it,
It's
but I think
cool.
it's really funny
We'll
that
save it for then.
Han Solo is on the cover of the book, and
Yeah,
then they're
man's
like,
gotta
"I
do
gotta build
what
my
he's
dream
gotta
sky
do."
house," and it's like that doesn't seem at all like Han Solo.
Nope.
Because these books, we'll get back into the synopsis, of course, but it seems the chief guiding principle is this was written for people that have never seen and have no knowledge of Star Wars.
Kind of, yeah.
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 Which I guess at a certain point it's like if they're like 7, then maybe
Which I probably
yeah.
was.
But also it's like you're writing a Star Wars book.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But okay, yes. I
gotta
just
get Han
wanted
out
to
of the picture.
I wanted
Yeah.
to cover that. Yeah.
But she does say, Han, like, you're important to spin. Now, what is spin?
Oh,
you might
yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
Can we Patrick, what's spin?
Senate Planetary Intelligence Network.
Oh my god.
And it's not part of any. It like some things exist throughout Star Wars. Spin only exists in these books.
Yeah.
Spin feels like a program that a vice president is in charge of
Yeah.
to get inner city
Yeah.
kids to exercise.
Yeah, or read.
It's like a hula hooping program.
Yeah, like we'll get some in later books, like actual good books,
It's
like
like the
Compnor or stuff like that. That
Well, I'm not going to read a good
persists.
book.
It's like the
Of course
Obsidian
not.
Order.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
What?
Of
Or,
course, yeah. Third
except,
battalion
except
of the Obsidian Order.
benevolent, because it's the Republic.
Yeah. So
I mean, you could say the Cardassians. Well, all right.
so Kessel, good old Kessel.
Yeah.
All the Grand Moffs and the Empire have gathered on Kessel to pick their new emperor.
Yep.
Or something, I guess. And that's where 3PO and R2 are going. So like it's revealed that we have our candidate for the new emperor.
Yes.
And it's this guy, Trioculus,
Who is the Emperor's son.
and the supreme slave lord of Kessel.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so we should
Good,
talk
we finally
about...
got there.
Yeah.
Kessel
yeah.
is not described aside from a fixation on slaves.
Yeah. Spice mines and slaves.
The word slave or slaves or slave lord appears in this book like 30 times, I think. I tried to look at
I was gonna control F. I forgot to do that, but
Yeah.
it's crazy because Trioculus, before they announce his claim to the throne of the Empire, is like the best slave lord.
and
like,
that comes
top
up
to
a
bottom.
lot.
Yeah.
At one point later, R2 and 3PO are trying to get around the city using intelligence from Mon Mothma, and he goes, "Oh, Slave Lord Boulevard?
Yeah.
That's not like Spice Mine Street.
Yeah, Spice Mines Avenue and Slave Lord Boulevard.
Yeah.
Slave Lord Boulevard."
Yeah.
And then also later, like, Trioculus is kind of like lamenting that fact. So, spoilers. Turns out Trioculus is not actually the Emperor's son.
What?
Yeah,
He's
a
just a
pretender.
mutant, whereas
Yeah.
the Emperor's son is got
Well,
three
also a
eyes.
mutant, but-
Triclops,
Well, no,
his name is.
He's got 3 eyes, but Trioculus is just a mutant. So there must be some other reason why he has 3 eyes. Triclops, but
No, I think they're both mutants.
Yeah, they're both mutants.
either way. When Hiss is talking about it, he says, "He's the son. You're just a mutant."
Yeah.
Which
Well, yeah, because he's a mutant and a son. Trioculus is just a mutant.
I guess so. But at one
Someone's
point, Trioculus
son,
is
but-
mad because he doesn't have Darth Vader's power, and Hiss goes, "Hey, listen, you're a
Yeah.
great slave lord. You
Yeah.
should be happy. Like you've got a lot to offer. Like being
I-
a slave owner."
I was so confused.
Rip Watto, by the way.
So I couldn't tell if the authors didn't understand how the Force works,
Yeah.
or if just the
Well,
characters didn't, because they think
Right.
that the
The
glove
glove-
is like
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
but like
Which I think with... Oh, we can get into. We,
Trioculus doesn't actually have Force
he
powers.
doesn't have dark side force.
Yeah.
which we'll
Yes.
we'll get there.
But I did want to bring up that it talks about Trioculus's past, which is that he was bullied when he was a boy in school
yeah.
because of his eye, and now he's a slave lord. And
Well-
he got his way by just being a narc and
Yes,
telling his
that's
teachers.
what I wrote.
Yeah.
He's a narc. He learned to control them by telling on them.
narking.
He's just a little snitch.
Is he from Kessel?
It's unclear.
Oh, okay.
It's
There's
unclear.
no,
he just went
there's
to
no
school
information
there?
given on anything
Yeah.
except wrong information about Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so they have intel that they're now. Do they even know about the Glove of Darth Vader, or do they just need to go spy on?
Oh, no, they
Kessel?
The
immediately-
Empire
Aliens.
just knows about it.
The Empire knows about it
because of the prophets of the dark side.
Kadan.
Yeah,
Kadan.
Kadan.
Not
is-
the
yeah.
no, but the Resistance, the Rebel Alliance or New Republic.
Well, I think they find out about it.
Yeah, but the
At
Empire
the
knows.
announcement.
spying because
Yeah.
Luke is there too.
Yeah, they show up to save. Like Luke and Admiral Ackbar show up to
Yeah.
save
The two
3PO.
guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Get Han Solo out of the picture. We need Luke and Jial
Gial
G.L.
Ackbar.
Ackbar, yeah.
Jial Ackbar.
Which is like, okay, so
These two droids.
These two droids are stuck on this planet. Who do we send? The last living Jedi Knight
who toppled almost single-handedly.
and the commander of the Republic Navy.
Yeah.
Those are the dudes we send
He can drive.
to do a ground mission on this
Which isn't even a
hostile
mission. They
planet.
just pick up 3PO and R2.
Yeah.
Chewbacca. Yeah, they're just there like, hey, it's fine. I do want to say about the droids before we move on is there's two things about the droids. Is one, a lot of attention given to explaining what a droid is. He saw through his eye sensors.
Yeah.
But
which they should be
also,
called photoreceptors.
maybe 3PO and R2, some of the most beloved characters of all time, especially from this trilogy.
Yeah.
Just immediately, it's like, makes sense to send droids. We are replaceable after all.
That was a very weird
Which
thing
is like,
for...
really,
Yeah.
it's like, it's sad.
And like
It's
3PO is usually very like worried about his
yeah,
self-preservation.
He's plucky.
Yeah.
Even in this book, he's like, "Oh, my face is different." But he says,
what do they
"It's
call it?
for
The
the
head
best.
covering?
We
Yeah.
droids are replaceable after all." And then Luke immediately is like, "Cool."
Yeah,
So the plan.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
point where he goes like, "3PO, you're
Yeah.
more important than that." He's like, "That's right."
Yep.
And then also like, there's a thing about them landing, and it's like, and it was fine because droids don't get dizzy. Which I was
yeah.
like, okay. And then
And 3PO says that, right?
they're
He's like,
ta-
good thing droids don't get dizzy.
No, yeah,
Something
and they're
like that.
talking while they're walking, and it says they talk without pause because quote droids never have to stop to catch their breath the way organic creatures do. And like the writer's like, I'm just like, this book's great, but what if people don't understand the idea of a droid?
Yeah, we can't just
know.
call them droids.
It's
People gotta
so
know they're droids.
weird and
So
annoying.
I read this probably like within a year or two of when it came out, I would
Yeah.
guess.
I was one.
Yeah, I wasn't born.
I was 8. When did it come out? 96?
92?
Oh, 92?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, never
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
I would have read them in like 96 or 7, probably,
Yeah.
something
Okay.
like that. Who the fuck didn't know what a robot... What child in the 90s didn't know what a robot
It's like the
was?
most basic sci-fi.
Yeah. Like,
Like
they go-
honestly, I feel like whales are a harder concept than robots.
yeah, they go through the trouble of calling non-humans aliens in this
Oh my
and not
God.
explaining it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like, they're aqualish.
But
Well, they call them walrus-faced like 20
smooth,
times.
tusked, mean,
But
and
they don't
walrus-faced.
have tusks.
I was picturing.
Oh, I thought those
a
were
different
tusks.
thing.
They're
They are-
like butt mouth.
It looks like fleshy to me.
Yeah, it's like their butt mouth is tusks.
Might
It's
be like a keratin.
It's like
yeah.
ivory.
Yeah, but it's just wet and slick, I think.
Oh, okay.
It looks like squishy and stuff, but I think
Yeah.
they're like horrible tusks.
Maybe they have bad
Oh.
tooth health.
All
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It's possible. All right, so they're in Kessel. And Trioculus has been debuted to, I guess, a gathering of the Grand Moffs, even
Yeah.
though only 4 are named.
Right.
But it's like a big gathering, right?
Arena
Yeah.
filled with Imperials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's-
like,
the Grand Moffs are governors essentially.
yeah.
Yes. Of
I don't
this
remember if they-
slave planet that the New Republic, I guess, is like, hey, you can't win them
Well,
all.
no, like the Grand Moffs are like they're in charge of like they're like governors of either I think like either one planet or maybe a sector.
Yeah,
maybe
regions, the
Grand Moffs
regional
or
governors.
regionals. Yeah.
Because like Moffs, it's like not a military rank. They're
Yeah.
civilians, but they're in
Yeah.
charge of a lot of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's weird, right?
why did Tarkin have all those decorations? He's civilian?
It's weird. It's like a weird distinction.
I don't
I feel like that's to
No,
dodge
the
a legal
full-
thing, so they don't have to be put on trial.
Yeah, it's some like
Maybe.
weird. It's some weird minutia
Well,
thing.
actually,
Yeah.
I mean, that guy who cut my hair once, who was telling me about the Ascension and Rainbow Body, said that zebra clearance is only given to non-government officials.
Oh,
To which
so
I
they got
asked,
Grand
so a
Moffs.
judge can have zebra clearance? And he went, I don't know. I'll have to look into
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, they debut Trioculus, who they constantly use the phrase, and I don't like when I see it, staring with his third eye.
Oh yeah.
They mention a lot of peered with his third eye.
well, they don't want you to
Yes.
forget, you know.
I never will.
It just sounds like a penis head.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I have this quote down here. The crowd continued to watch in hushed silence as Trioculus began to speak in a cold, throaty voice. My father, the Emperor, had many powers of the dark side, but without 3 eyes, he could never achieve perfection. It was known by the ancients that a Dark Lord with 3 eyes has a secret strength possessed by none other. And so, it is my destiny to rule over my father's empire and bring us the glory that he never achieved.
Which
You've had a good thing going.
I think he achieved
Palpatine
it.
took over the
30
galaxy.
years of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty-
he lost,
But the
like,
problem was, didn't have
Yeah,
a
I
third
guess he was
eye.
missing that
Just
third
two
eye.
peepers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that?
And also, in I think maybe influenced by Anthony Daniels, 3PO immediately clocks Trioculus as very handsome.
Almost handsome.
Oh, that's right.
'Cause he has a-
Almost. He's
because
almost
there's a third
Is
handsome.
eye.
Anthony Daniels?
I mean, I don't know, but his performance,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would expect.
you would hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
It's
it would
like
be
the-
almost offensive if not.
It's like
Yeah.
that Simpsons joke that like where the robots are boxing. There's like the gay robots from Star Wars. R2 and 3PO.
Somebody asked me once. I think they were doing trips. It was like a family trip or something, and one of like a cousin-in-law or something referred to like C-3PO and R2-D2 as the gay robots, and everyone was like, "Patrick, is that true?" And I was like, "Hey, "Yeah, pretty
Putting
much."
on your, little,
yeah.
your
Yeah.
specs.
yeah.
According to my
It's
notes.
written.
Yeah, it's basically true. Yeah.
That's
I
the
mean,
as
pretty
it is
much, yeah.
recorded in the Journal of the Wills.
Yeah.
They
At
are
the
the gay
very
robots.
least, they are domestic partners.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Historically best friends, like two women in
Yeah.
a Victorian house in New England.
Trioculus gets debuted. He zaps a guy he shoots lightning out of his hand.
He shoots lightning out of his hands, which proves his progeny.
Yes.
That he is of Emperor Palpatine's
Because I guess
loins.
in this
Yeah.
one, force powers are like individual things that you're like handed down genetically.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's not like a
That's
thing
wh-
that anyone could learn.
That's why Rey could do it.
Yeah.
Remember?
Is that in Rise of Skywalker?
Remember she blows up. She thinks she blows up Chewbacca with force lightning.
I don't remember that. Even all I remember about that is I guess Chewbacca was in a different ship.
Yep.
That's the twist. Anyways, we gotta
good.
bring it back to
good.
Legends here, back to the expanded
which
universe.
has been just proven to be just as stupid as the new canon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Trioculus, he shoots lightning, and he's like, "I am the most evil." A bunch of people are like, "You don't have the glove of Darth Vader," like Kadan said, and he's like, "I'm gonna find it."
So
Which-
yeah.
The glove of Darth Vader, unlike the left-hand glove, the right glove was made to be indestructible. Mon Mothma replied. Hang on.
Yeah.
A symbol of evil that would survive forever.
So maybe this is like asking why the plane isn't made out of the material that a black box is, but why not make all of Darth Vader's suit indestructible?
Indestructible.
And
Yeah.
and did Luke just happen to cut off right above where it's indestructible?
He's lucky he didn't get a little bit higher up.
Yeah.
What
just-
happens?
Yeah,
Whoopsie
no,
daisy.
yeah. Also, why? Why was the glove? Why was a glove made to be indestructible? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It makes no
The rest of him is
sense.
completely vulnerable
Yeah,
to
but-
damage, except for his glove.
I know.
Whoever
yeah.
made, I guess Palpatine was like, make the right glove indestructible.
Sir,
not
should we
the
make the left glove just as indestructible?
No. Also, there's no arm,
Make it weaker.
right?
Nope.
It's
It's
just
a robot hand. Right?
Yeah, so it's not. Why is it even a glove?
I don't know
really?
if they even knew that when this book came out.
Maybe not.
Return
yeah.
of the Jedi, they cut his hand.
Oh, there's wires in it. Yeah,
Oh wait, what hand does Luke cut off?
the right hand.
Is it the right hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all wires.
It's wires and shit. Yeah. But I
Maybe
don't know if they
those
watched
are
it.
Why-
destructible, but then the glove itself. There's also a lot of talk of when they're looking at X-rays and it's like 1, 2, 5 fingers.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it a hand? And it's like, no hand could have survived the Death Star exploding. It's not a droid's hand, it's the glove, which at this point I thought was a symbolic thing. That whoever has the glove is like the one who can, it's like having the conch, right?
Right,
It's
right.
like you're allowed to rule. But
I
no,
highlighted
there's a physical aspect to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so in this thing, the Central Committee of Grand Moffs had declared Trioculus to be the new emperor. But if someone else found the glove and wore it, then Kadan, the supreme prophet of the dark side, might declare that Trioculus was not the rightful heir to the throne and should be deposed. Who the fuck is Kadan?
Dark prophet of the dark
But he's
side.
alive? Like he's out there?
All the prophets of it. We'll see them in later books.
Yeah.
They're all out there, and when we do, there's some fucked up lore.
Oh,
Prophets of the
yeah,
dark side.
yeah, I remember
It's
this.
real gnarly.
Yeah.
Is it about slaves?
It's worse.
Yeah, it's worse.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah.
It's bad.
It's real bad. I just kind of stumbled upon it,
You
but
know
we'll get
it,
into that
as
later.
R2 says, Ptug Bzini.
I think like these, it's not often in Star Wars like expanded universe books that they go full phonetic R2 like sounds.
Yeah.
But I
Right,
think Heir to the
rather
Empire,
than
they're just
just
like
beeped and
R2
whistled.
like
Beeped. Yeah.
Which
twiddled
doesn't,
the sound.
can't Luke understand R2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3PO translates everything.
Yes. There's like a
It's for us, not Luke.
Yeah. But there's a bit later.
But why doesn't Luke just say that's right, Archie? Okay, because you can't infer anything. It has to be told to you.
Yeah.
So what's like what? Okay, when he goes, Trioculus says, "I need the glove." It's like, find me the glove of Darth Vader.
Yeah. And they're all looking, so they go to like where
And there's
they go to Endor.
detractor, right? There's a doubter.
Yeah, there's a few
of them.
There's a few Grand Moffs who don't want Trioculus to be emperor.
And some
Right.
royal guards too.
Yeah.
But doesn't he
Pop up.
zap?
He kills one of
He
them.
kills
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
A nameless royal guard.
But he sends like a bunch of probe droids to Endor to look for the glove, and they're
They
like,
just go across the whole.
They say,
galaxy.
what? Well, but specifically, they like focus their search around Endor because that's where the Death Star
Yeah,
was destroyed.
right.
Also, it
Makes
never
sense.
refers to it as like the second Death Star, which whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine.
But there's
I
a
did,
little
you know,
thing at the
got
beginning where they
that,
talk
yeah.
about like, oh,
Yeah.
there was a first Death Star and they blew it up. Then the rebels blew up the next one.
Yeah. But so they're looking for it there with probe droids, and someone's like, "How the hell do we find a glove in space?" And he's like, "Our probe droids can find explosives in tiny. I forget what it is.
Something like that.
Something
Yeah.
really
It's like,
specific.
oh, okay. Well, I guess. Fine. Good
Okay, yeah.
luck.
Everything's explained away. Like the way this book is written, it feels like it has tons of padding, but it's only 50 pages.
Yeah.
So like this part where it's like the beady-eyed Grand Moff was bald and his teeth had been filed into sharp spear-like points. I am Grand Moff Hissa, he announced, just as R2 figured out who he was.
It is. So I wrote books like this in third grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have
with your wife.
not with that. I was not married in third
Oh,
grade.
okay.
Yeah, not yet. But this is exactly how I wrote in third grade, and my book's about like aliens who came down to see the Titanic.
Yeah, or like a
Or Frog Wars.
Like a-
my Star Wars ripoff starring frogs.
oh,
Do you
nice.
have access to that anywhere?
I have them somewhere.
'Cause that would be a
probably at
great
my parents' house.
Bonus episode.
I did a
If we did a frog
I did a
Wars.
Kirby Star Wars crossover.
No way. Oh, I think we saw that.
Yeah.
I think you
I
sent
have
me that.
those somewhere.
Yeah,
I think I did comics that I made.
Yeah, yeah,
with,
mine were
like,
comics.
One was like
Mine were illustrated
Super
books.
Dude or
Oh, cool.
something, and like I actually like one of my aunts or uncles got it laminated, and I hole punched it, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is real.
I'm a published
Yeah, I'm a published author."
That's so
I also made
cool.
a trilogy of movies: The Magic Rock, The Magic Stick, and The Magic Rock and Stick was the final.
Whoa.
Me and my friend Pat made Sugar Aid.
It was my dad with a like giant VHS camcorder, also holding my little sister, who's like babbling the entire time. No cuts, obviously, just us running around saying
Like
things.
the great filmmakers, yeah.
Yeah.
You had a one take.
Yep.
All right, so Captain Dunwell. Good old Captain
Are we
Dunwell.
already on Calamari?
Yeah, let's move on to Calamari,
Okay.
which is not Mon Calamari yet in Star
Yeah, they
Wars
just
canon.
call it Calamari.
It's just Calamari.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like Turkey.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
they
Could be.
changed
It's
like a
Mon
cultural
Calamari.
thing. Yeah, it's like we want to be true to the Mon.
Deutschland,
So this
Germany.
is the whole
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
that Admiral Ackbar is in this book. So he can take Luke to his home planet, and that's where they first encounter the whaladons.
Yeah.
This book has a Pyacon in it.
Yeah.
Yes, the Tolkun are in this book.
Yes.
Leviathor.
Leviathor is
An
the main
intelligent
whaladon.
Whaladon. He's albino,
Yep.
which is very rare. He's their leader because he led them. He saved them from an earthquake, right?
Something
A,
like that, yeah.
volcanic eruption.
Yeah,
yeah.
And he's the last great white whaladon.
Whaladon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is albino. It's the Calamari homeworld, the Mon Calamari homeworld. There's a bunch of underwater cities, and just based on
the domed city of Aquarius.
yeah,
Aquarius.
just
they can't
based
just say
on
Aquarius.
how
They say Pisces too.
it's
I have that written
described, it seems like the whale hunting vessel or whatever is like maybe a mile or two from these major cities.
right down the road.
I
But
guess
it's very
so, yeah.
evil and,
It's-
like-
it's very evil.
Major
yeah.
city that's built so that whaladons could also hang out in the city.
Yes.
They make a lot of mention that
Yeah.
there's water below, but then there's air above.
Yeah.
It
But
seems
it's-
like it would have been super easy for them to just wipe out this one single whale hunting outpost. Which, by the way, they're hunted for meat, which only Imperial.
The Grand Moffs really
Yep,
like
they
it.
love
Yeah,
whaladon
you have
meat.
to be like an Imperial officer or above to get to eat whaladon.
Yeah, it's that stormtroopers and slaves can't eat
Yeah,
whaladon
yeah.
meat. That's what it says in the book.
So much slave talk in this.
There's for a children's book, there's so many mentions of slaves, which like I don't know, maybe you just watched Return of the Jedi and you're like, what a happy ending. Wonder what happens next.
Slaves.
And it's like there's an entire planet of slaves.
Yeah. Here's a great picture of Trioculus talking to Captain Dunwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, also the holograms are colored. Like it talks about the reddish tone of his skin. And I was
Yeah.
like, but,
What the heck?
But that's not how they work in the movies.
They're all like blue and shit.
Yeah, so
they-
Dunwell reaches out and he says, "Oi there, Trioculus."
Very much, an Ahab.
Yeah, he's
kinda
like,
Quint.
I have something that you're gonna want to see.
Get
you
over
have to
here
come
now.
down here
Yeah.
to Calamari.
Yeah.
Which they even mention millions of miles away.
Millions of miles.
Well,
And, like-
don't worry. There's an explanation.
There is an explanation. You want to do the explanation?
Let's say, okay, so they basically he found the
Millions
Glove
of
Darth
light
Vader.
years away. It's like a
Yeah.
different place
Yeah.
in the galaxy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he found
Oh, I remember
some
now.
Death Star wreckage. Inside, they scan it, and that's when they do like 3, 4, 5 fingers.
What?
So they find he basically has found the glove, but they basically are just like, oh, there's wormholes. Sometimes shit falls into them, and it just travels
black
millions of
hole
miles away.
technology.
Yeah, I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Which is very not. That's more Trek.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
far and away more
Explained
Trek.
away so fast.
Yeah.
Things are introduced and explained away
Yeah.
in such immediacy. Like
But
there's
it is like it's really funny because it's just used as like a way to get
Just a
everyone
hand
back
wave.
together.
yeah,
Right?
which
Like
it
what they
didn't
don't
have
need
to
to
be
do. They
there.
could have just gone to Endor or wherever they were and found it there.
Well, no, they had to do the whaladon thing, which
Oh,
is
but
why
that's
they
why,
had to
yeah.
bring Ackbar, who can understand whaladon
So
song.
everyone has to be on Calamari because that's where the whaladons are, and they're obviously like
the only-
just whales.
Was
They're
it
not space
established
whales. I
in
don't
the
think.
movie how
Nope, they're just
far
water whales.
Calamari is from Endor?
I mean,
No,
it's
not at all.
millions. Of
So
yeah.
It's just
right, but I mean, like, why
Oh, they
couldn't
could
it
have
have
just had the
like
same system.
Why couldn't
Yeah,
it have just
yeah.
like flown through space? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have. If you're like at the level of reading that this author thinks
Mm-hmm.
you are, why would you be like, how did the glove get there if it's millions of miles away?
Because it's just understood that
I mean-
planet systems are
the
have
Death
to be
Star
hyper jumped too.
explodes from the inside, right? From the center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the reactor.
Yeah.
Reactor.
So it explodes in every direction,
Mm-hmm.
meaning, and it's in space, so that stuff is never going to stop moving.
Nope, it's gonna just.
So
Yeah,
their
well,
search
gravity.
radius
That's what I was
is like,
thinking, right?
At this
Infinite.
point, it's almost.
That though does seem kind of Star Warsy to me, because Star Wars is like maybe the most that a thing takes place in space without acknowledging any of the realities
No
of
space
outer
rolls,
space.
yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
Which I like.
It's
yeah,
great. It makes
you
for
can
a
hear
much better movie.
explosions. They
Yeah,
don't do like
yeah.
spacewalks. They're not worried about
No,
decompression
no,
and
Everything
stuff. Like,
flies like World War II planes.
They
Exactly.
get out on the surface of an asteroid with just a
it's
little
fine.
like breathing mask.
Yeah.
And
because
that's
you
okay.
watch, you read The Expanse, and it almost feels like such a chore for them to do anything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like hopelessness because it's like, well, they're on their breaking burn and they'll be here in 2 months, but there's nothing we can do to get there before they get there.
We can
without
only stick so much
squishing
juice
ourselves.
in us.
Whereas like Star Wars is like, we're gonna go there, and then it's gonna be breathable, and that's fine. And I'm like, that's great. So that I
Awesome.
kind of understand, but like, I don't know. Yeah, the way that they feel they need to explain things is just like, I was fine without this. You could have put this planet way closer. Yeah, I also just, while we're talking about the Calamarian Seas and why Ackbar was there, like, him talking to Leviathor is great. Because, which also, you think that, like, okay, the people of this planet, Calamari, are like, they live alongside the whaladons.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can understand. Wrong. Admiral Ackbar was one of the few air-breathing fishmen who understood whaladon songs.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
Leviathor sang about how, which Leviathor had written an opera, which is sang at the end
Oh
of this
yeah,
book.
there's a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
concert.
Yes,
Yep.
as Leviathor sang about how the whaladons were threatened with extinction because of Captain Dunwell's new whaladon hunting submarine, which doesn't have a name. It's only ever called that.
Yep.
But it's
The
always
Admiral
called all three
hung
words.
his
Yeah.
head in sorrow. And here's a quote. "Wise one of the Calamarian seas," said Admiral Ackbar, "you have my solemn promise that I will do everything I can to save your valiant species." "Tell him he has my promise too," Luke Skywalker added. It's like saying, like, can you tell them I said hi
Yeah.
while your dad's on the phone?
Yeah.
That brings up like another thing, which is that for some reason none of the ships are named, which like Star Wars goes so out of its way to name every
No, it's like
ship.
the IMD-4
Yeah,
Imperial
land
Defense.
speeder limousine.
Yeah, or like a shuttle Tidarium. Like everything has a name.
Yeah.
And in this, it's like, whale hunting vessel.
There's a
or
way
whatever.
of reducing the magic of Star Wars into its like most boring and shitty pieces.
Yeah.
Where it's like the Millennium Falcon, a spaceship he won from an alien. Well, I know Lando's not, but it's like Chewbacca, a 205-year-old alien. It's like,
Do you
Yeah,
remember where it is they go to find the glove, the wreckage?
the giant oyster.
The Valley of the Giant,
Oysters. That's right.
Yeah.
Which, when they find the wreckage, this is very interesting. Is that
it is.
Ackbar? He says, "I'm especially interested to know whether it contains any Dunium or Phobium." And I'm like, Dunium? That's a Star Wars thing.
Is that already
Oh, it
exist?
is real?
It comes up later, so I'm curious where the origin is from.
May have started
Might be
here.
this, yeah.
Talking about how
Dunium
it's
comes back.
Specifically, yeah, he says, R2, can you reconstruct the atomic structure of this metal that they like? It's like it was brought in through a slot. So the thing that had been underwater that they grabbed with the arm that's normally used to grab fish,
Oh my God,
brought
yeah.
it in, and then R2, it's like beep boop boop, thwee boop, and then 3PO says it's Dunium and Phobos.
Yeah. Used to coat the core of the Death Star.
That's
It's
right.
so Dunium.
Dunium. I don't know about Phobium. That one's not in my brain. Like Dunium.
Maybe that one didn't catch.
So Trioculus, for some reason, so they're in their mini sub or whatever. Ackbar and Luke and the droids are observing from a distance in like a little sub.
Yes.
And
It's fish
The
shaped
calamari-
specifically.
Oh yeah.
the calamari something. Oh,
So I highlighted something here, which is just describing how. So, Trioculus wore a diving suit of the most advanced design, equipped with a helmet that had a miniature arc light. He took a supply of thermal detonators with him. Yeah. Kabram! The thermal detonators blasted a hole in the side of the large chunk of the Death Star sprawled across the ocean floor. Then Trioculus pulled himself through the hole into the big hollow piece of metallic debris. He adjusted the arc light on his helmet so that he could examine the crushed mechanical parts that surrounded him. It's just like,
the way they go into so much detail. And again, this book is 50 pages.
yeah.
And then, like, there are things that are so superfluous. Like, I'll tell my crew to power up the whaladon hunting submarine immediately, Captain Dunwall replied. Even sooner than Trioculus had expected, they were ready to depart.
Yep.
What?
Oh, there's so many things where time goes by so fast where it's like, Luke sent 3PO to the droid modification team. He was there for an hour and then he came back.
Yeah, it is written like a third grader did a report on it.
But
It
yeah.
is. It's written like a report on a book
Yes,
that
yeah.
already exists.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess since we're talking about the writing, it was really, I watched Last Crusade a few days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, solid.
And I was remembering, because I had started reading like years ago and just was slowly plugging away at Le Morte d'Arthur. It's the death of Arthur
Oh,
or whatever. It's like a 14th, 15th, 16th century
Oh, good lord.
like giant
Christ.
like
how do you
huge
read that
book.
without falling asleep?
I mean, it is kind of boring. It's cool though, but it's written like the exact same way.
Oh.
It's like where it's kind of just like, and so then Lancelot rode on his horse until he came upon another knight, and they had a great battle, and Lancelot won.
It's
It's
like,
a lot of
yeah.
like it's written like a medieval, and he's even and the glove is the Grail.
Oh,
It is very Grail-like.
It's a retelling of the Grail myth.
Which in a
is this
bit I do
book.
want to talk
Yeah.
about the powers of the glove, but also that reminds me of if you've ever watched someone cook a like recipe from the 1800s,
Right.
there are no amounts,
we
times,
have.
or temperatures listed.
Oh, yeah,
And so
of
it's
course,
like
yeah.
it says a heap of pork.
Yeah.
It's written like that. Also, I do want to say before we get to the glove and stuff, because there's a bunch of stuff that happens where they're just watching Trioculus
Watching
in
So
whaladons get
much.
skinned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Trioculus,
Oh, wow.
almost handsome.
Almost
Looks like
handsome.
Don Draper, I guess.
Yeah.
Imagine the smell of that place where they're just
I know.
skinning these things
Yeah.
and they get pulled in with a squid, but they're wondering what to do. And here's a moment that it feels really strange. So another thought struck Luke. The other thing we could do is attack. Attack! exclaimed 3PO.
Is this the quote about what
It was
Jedi?
yes.
Yeah, this is
Here we
very
go.
strange.
Yeah, sorry, go
It
ahead.
was an old Jedi rule of thumb to attack when the odds were overwhelmingly against you and when there was no other possible way to save your own life or the life of an ally. Luke had used that strategy aboard Jabba the Hutt's skiff when Luke and his friends were about to be executed.
It's not a strategy. It's
Also, he didn't just
self-defense.
attack; they planted R2 with a
was a
lightsaber.
right,
It was
it was
a,
a- yeah.
it was a
scheme.
very,
It was a scheme.
It was a very clever bit
Yes.
of strategy that had been planned, and
Well, so hang on.
Because they don't even attack. Why do they have to
Well,
say this whole song
Wait,
and dance?
It's luckily they don't have to do
Anything
of that
at all.
because Zagunuku, squealed R2. Yikes, shouted 3PO. A giant squid. He was right.
he was right.
Luke glanced out the front porthole and saw a squid larger than any he could ever have imagined.
He's got a little imagination. There's a little picture of the squid too.
Yeah. Oh, there is.
It's just a regular
It's
squid.
not
It's
even a crazy.
It's not a
alien
space squid. It's just a
Zagunuku. That's what it says.
Zagunuku.
Fajum.
Oh, and that's right before he goes, oh no,
Yeah.
we're doomed.
So they get sucked in because the whaladon hunting vessel has like
A whirlpool
a
technology.
whirlpool
Yes.
gun, and it sucks
Which is
them
cool.
and the
Yeah, I buy
squid
it.
into their ship, but they don't notice the giant submarine in there.
And you want to know why?
Why is that?
It's because the crew members were more concerned with a game that had just begun, a gambling game known as Sabacc. Sabacc was a card game that had become very popular in the
This is not the
casinos of
glossary.
Cloud
I'm
City.
already falling
this
asleep.
Is, this
Yeah.
is right after the squid thing.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the paragraph after the squid.
Yeah.
It goes from
I'm
giant
Desmond.
squid to crew members more concerned.
And now it has played by both humans and aliens on dozens of planets. Anyway,
that reminds me how they
God.
said that
Aqualish.
the Rebel Alliance was founded by men, women, and aliens.
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Which is so funny. Yeah, so this is where the Aqualish just catch so many strays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was it?
So Aqualish began growling and pushing, calling each other cheaters and opening their mouths, flashing their teeth and tusks, even spitting at one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like water apes, basically. They're,
As
an Aqualish, if you're not, it's the guy.
Ponda Baba.
It's Ponda Baba. It's the guy who gets his arm cut off.
Yeah.
In New Hope.
Yeah.
Which, like, listen,
the
they're not
cantina.
painted in like a good light anyway.
No,
but
no.
also, here's a quote: "As Trioculus drew closer, the gang of Aqualish didn't even look up, let alone step out of his way. They were as rude and stupid as any Aqualish he had ever encountered anywhere in the galaxy."
One of my favorite things in Star Wars is where there was a bad guy at Jabba's palace, so that entire race of aliens
Yeah.
is evil.
Or like
Yes.
Greedo.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
means
yeah.
all Rhodians are scumbags
Yep.
because of Greedo.
Yeah.
I mean, that
there's
seems
no
to be that
good
happens
ones.
a lot in
It's-
Trek, where they have to later rehabilitate like Klingons and Ferengi.
But
and-
even with those, at least you usually get a good one. Or something. right?
Eventually,
Like,
though.
Eventually,
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, you're telling me there's a good weak way out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
it's just so funny that it's just like these guys are just playing poker, and then it's like these motherfuckers are so stupid.
Yeah, they're
just like
really
all the
dumb.
other ones.
They're also dumb and ugly.
The dumbest ones he's ever encountered.
Yeah.
It does feel,
ever.
it feels like the authors are waiting for the characters to tell them how they feel about things. Like the way
Yeah.
they would write, like he was right and they were dumb and stupid, just like Trioculus always thinks. And it's like, you're the author.
Yeah.
You get to decide
Yeah.
what this world is.
Yeah, and then one tries, he like spits at Trioculus, and that's when he tries to use the glove to like
Yeah,
force
so
choke him.
he has acquired the glove from the wreck of the Imperial 4XD9 Z3
Yeah.
giant oyster cave.
Yeah.
And luckily he brought some thermal charges and he had a special arc light on his diving suit.
Yeah,
And so he was
thermal
able to
detonators.
get inside
Yeah.
and bring it back with
We
him.
shouldn't be able to break Dunium, I think.
Yeah.
This seems weird.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually got a special thing.
Special
a
diving.
special
Yeah.
Dunium breaking.
way?
So
Yeah.
this is one of the most puzzling parts of the book.
Yeah, it's
Can-
almost interesting.
Can you talk about the glove and the expectations around the glove?
So Trioculus has the glove. He's wearing it, and Aqualish spits at him.
Yeah.
So he
A
reaches
dumb
out. He tries to
stupid.
choke him because he's like Darth Vader would choke people.
Yeah.
And he's
well,
like,
he doesn't
just like,
try
what
to
the
choke
hell?
even.
yeah,
Well, he
tries
points.
he points at him. because he's like, oh, Darth Vader would just like kill people with his hand.
Yeah.
So he tries to do that and nothing happens.
It doesn't work.
He's like, what? The glove is busted.
The glove didn't work for him the way it had worked for Darth Vader, who had been able to choke the life breath out of victims. The life breath out of his victims by pointing the glove in their direction. Just like, nah.
It's just like, no, that's not.
But not at all.
Yeah.
I guess it's just what he thinks.
Did no one know? Did they? Yeah, this is where it's interesting. It's like, did they not know about the Force?
I mean, if you
I
think
don't
about
know.
like the first.
I mean, they call it like an old religion.
Yeah,
or
like
something,
they regard Vader's like status and his like use
Sexual
of the
prowess.
Force and his sexual prowess with disdain. They're like, oh, that ancient religion of
Yeah,
yours.
yeah. It's like
is
a
no matter
folksy,
for our,
like stupid
our
thing.
battle
yeah.
station. So maybe just people don't understand it
it's
the way that we
equivalent
do.
of Ma and Pa
Yeah.
sleeping in separate twin beds.
Exactly.
It's traditional,
Exactly.
yeah.
So he just saps that Oculus anyways.
Yeah,
He,
because
he does, yeah.
it's revealed that he does not have any type of the Force, or
Yes.
seems to know what it is. Even.
yeah,
he
like
just thinks it's like a lightning
Yeah,
power.
that-
that,
powers.
that could be a cool
So he-
idea.
yeah.
That like they deliberately shrouded the source
Sure,
of Darth
yeah.
Vader's power.
But his robot EMD
MD5.
MD5,
yeah.
which I don't even remember if
Has-
it's ever described visually. It just says that
There is
it's
a,
a robot.
there's a drawing.
I saw the drawing.
Yeah. They refer to him as an evil robot too, which is
course.
funny. So he installs like
A
things
cybernetic.
in
Oh,
Trioculus's
yeah.
fingers to
Yeah.
shoot lightning, which we later learn is killing him or hurting him every
Yeah,
time
every
he does
time.
it.
So, yeah, the thing in his brain, and then they install in the glove.
Well, later,
Dog whistles.
yeah. So yeah, so
Yeah.
they to make the glove work, the droid is like very quickly, in a matter of like seconds, I think, it's
Very,
just like,
very quick.
oh, I can put like an ultrasonic dog whistle in your glove so that when you point at someone, their eardrums explode
Yeah.
and their brain melts.
But it's only them, only who you point
Only
at.
the person.
Which,
Which,
like-
Also, only a little, because the captain later survives like 2 or 3 of those blasts. When Luke
He's a
uses
sailor.
him as a human shield.
yeah, he does. Also, I love that it's like Luke is blocking the lightning at one point.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he went around. It's like,
Yeah,
what?
he made the
He
lightning
did it in
go
a way
around
to
it.
dodge
What
the
are you
lightsaber.
talking about? Yeah.
The ruse that Grand Moff Hiss and Trioculus have is almost interesting.
It's like Narnia. It's like the
Yeah.
ass that they
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
dressed up as Aslan.
Yeah.
It's like that he's just faking
But
his powers with implants, cybernetic implants.
Captain Dunwell has a listening device in his
Yeah,
apartment
he
where-
excuses himself.
where they go
Yeah.
to talk.
And they forgot to sweep. That's what it said. It's like
yeah.
they were in such
They
a
didn't
hurry,
sweep
they
the
forgot
listening
to check.
devices.
I know, a normal thing you do. And it's
Yeah.
also funny because it's like shaking his head in disgust, Trioculus sat down in the captain's favorite chair.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what he says, like, oh, this glove's busted.
It didn't work for me like it did for Darth
Yeah.
Vader.
So a bunch they
Just
get
shaking it. What's wrong with this?
So
thing?
Luke and the droids get out, and they're gonna try to escape and free the whaladons, but they don't. Do they have a plan other than that?
No,
No.
just free
Okay.
the whaladons.
There's
Yeah.
some really funny, like they take a guy hostage, and there's some really good, like condescending stuff about how R2 can break. Or it's Captain Dunwell, I think.
It's Captain
But how
Dunwell, yeah.
R2 can break any code because he broke the
that's
Death
right.
Star's code in 10 seconds, and guess what? He does right away.
Captain Dunwell took 3 years to make this code.
Yeah, he was just meticulously sitting in his favorite chair crafting
Yeah.
a cipher.
Yeah.
And then Trioculus shows up because they have to shoot someone, I think, and
That's when he uses Captain Dunwell as a human
kind of a
shield.
battle. Yeah, Luke hides behind Captain Dunwell, who gets blasted with the dog whistle.
This is also after Luke rushes Dunwall and hits the gun with his lightsaber and knocks it out of his hand.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, wouldn't it turn it into slag? Like, wouldn't
Yeah.
it cut through
Yeah.
it? This person seems to be like, lightsabers, that's like a baton?
Yeah.
It's a baton
just-
that
yeah.
lights
He
up?
also does a little Jedi mind trick on Captain Dunwell.
Yes,
Oh, that's
he
right.
does,
Yeah, but it
which-
doesn't last very long.
It's
No.
really funny because it's like, you're mistaking us for your enemies. And then instead of being like, let us into the computer system, he's like, R2, break the code. It's like,
Yeah.
you got the guy.
Yeah. He's
You-
like,
you-
find us a computer. Don't unlock it.
Don't
Just
unlock
find us
it.
a
Yeah.
computer.
I know. Well, you want to let R2 sink his teeth.
Yeah,
into
you want
something.
R2 to gas boop dweet.
Yeah.
It's so funny the way that he deals with Dunwall and like uses the Jedi mind trick, breaks his code, and then uses him as a human shield to
Yeah.
get his eardrums
I
melted.
highlighted this passage because it made me laugh. Because they get into the terminal, and Luke wants to set a self-destruct off.
Oh,
Yes.
So Luke says, find out if the vessel has a self-destruct system. And Captain Dunwell says, it doesn't.
Yep.
And then R2 says, Zungaloop.
Yep.
And R2 says, it does, Master Luke. So Captain Dunwell's like, it doesn't have one. R2 says it does.
Which is so funny because there is a deliberate conversation earlier where like Grand Moff Hyssa and Trioculus are like, this is a pretty amazing whaladon hunting sub. You shouldn't let it fall into rebel hands. And Captain Dunwell says, don't worry, I'll destroy it before I let rebels get it. And then when rebels are like, is there a self-destruct? He goes, you'll never take it from me. You'll never destroy this.
Yeah, and you can't blow it up.
You can't blow it up.
It's
And
mine.
like, well, hang on. It's got my favorite chair on it.
So yeah,
Excellent. Find out the precise self-destruct code. Tell me when you've got it. And it's so funny. It's like, now punch the code in and it's set for it to blow up. Luke stopped to think, how much time would the whaladons need to swim to a safe distance? And how much time would he, his droids, and Admiral Ackbar need to get their Calamari and mini-sub away from here without being destroyed by a gigantic explosion?
Oh my god.
Give us 10 minutes. That should do it.
If it doesn't, then we're all history.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And also, the name of the chapter is 10 Minutes to Self-Destruct.
Yeah.
I would have almost not even blinked if it said, well, the chapter is called 10 Minutes to Self-Destruct, thought Luke.
And then there's another exchange here. You can't do this, Captain Dunwell protested. R2 beeped and squeaked and word. Boosh Zweech. R2 says we can.
Just watch us.
Just watch us. Oh, then R2 says Zish Bajoop.
Yeah. And then it's like, just then alarm bells started to go off. Just say alarm bells started to go off. The
Yeah.
just then.
Just
I feel
then.
like that makes it worse for
There's
a
a-
younger reading level.
It's
like,
very confusing.
It's such a weird, lazy,
Yeah.
like, oh, God.
There's a part after he kills the Aqualish when they're gambling that's like, the other Aqualish ran away without any further incident.
Yeah. It adds...
We
It's
know
like,
that.
It's like
Yeah.
they're coloring outside the lines.
Yeah.
It's like the image is no more well defined because I realized when I got to the end of the book, I don't know what the sub looks like on the inside. I don't know. The only thing that's well described is the cave of the giant oysters.
Yes.
Or the cavern. Like that, they talk about like the lights and the leaves and stuff. And I was like, that's kind of neat. But the rest of it, nothing.
What happens after that? Trioculus finds them. That's when R2 said Jeep boo poos. And they fight with Trioculus, who shoots lightning around Luke's lightsaber. Just
Again, not seeming to understand like the rules of anything in Star Wars.
Not
which
at all.
are,
I guess
you know,
there are
granted-
no rules at this
granted,
point.
they're flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But up
uh,
until this point, every time we've seen the lightning, it's almost as though it's drawn to the lightsaber. Like it's.
Well, no, they haven't
At
done...
this point, not really.
No, there's nothing like that.
The only time
yeah.
we've seen lightning is when Palpatine fucks Luke up
Yeah.
in Return of the Jedi at this
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
point. Yeah, it's not until the prequels that we get to like lightsaber lightning deflection.
Yeah.
They hadn't. They forgot that technology.
It still doesn't.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
don't understand because it's like he moved his hand around the light, so he's like he curves it like in Wanted.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, he curves the bullet.
Yeah.
That's when
the
he really
lightning.
starts getting into the lightning will kill Trioculus if he
Yeah,
keeps
he's
using
using it too much.
It's like
Using it too
limitless.
much.
He's
Yep.
using 100% of his lightning.
Yeah.
He was not yet a true master of the dark side, it says.
Which he's not even. You can't even use that. You can't do anything with the dark side.
Yeah.
That's just not a
It's
true
just-
master. He's just not even.
He's not
just a fake.
He's not even a.
He's nothing,
He's
yeah.
not even an acolyte.
No.
of the
Yeah.
dark side.
Yeah.
Oh, Acolyte.
Oh, the
Now, there's some
acolyte.
Star Wars.
Jeep boo poos. That's another R2.
There's so many
Success!
good
R2 has instructed the Master Control to free the whaladons.
Yay!
And then they escape. Trioculus says, I'll get you, Skywalker.
Yeah. And they
There's-
think he might be dead.
Yeah.
I guess so. They're not sure if he escaped.
Yeah.
And I think Luke like shudders at the thought, but Luke
Yeah.
just runs away.
Yeah.
The like, if someone who actually has the Force.
Yeah.
But there's another thing I highlighted here, just some awful writing. Just then the doors began to open, whatever. Time was getting short before the Whaladon hunting submarine would self-destruct in a furious explosion that would destroy them all. Time was getting short before. What? Time was
What?
getting short before?
This predates AI. Like this
This is the
written
original
by
chat
a
GPT.
person.
Yes,
Yeah.
Paul
Two
David's
people.
GPT.
Yeah, two brains.
I know.
Drift
Wait,
compatible.
sorry, am I?
It's a bad handshake.
Yeah.
They are not. Luke and the droids do not know that Trioculus is going to be there, right? They are just there to
Free whaladons?
I don't remember.
No, they
don't-
want to go somewhere else, but Ackbar is like, no, we have to go to Calamari first.
I think it's because of the whaladons.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think.
And
he's
then
like,
they are looking for the glove.
And Luke's like, okay, I'll help you, but like they don't know that Trioculus and all of them are gonna be there. It's just like, how do we get everyone to this planet?
But also
Because
they have to do
whaladons are
so
there.
much like gymnastics to
Yeah.
get it there. I was listening to a song the other day that John Lennon wrote and produced and released in one day. And it's pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
And this seems like something that was written in 16 minutes.
Yeah, like a blind panic. To get this book out.
Drug-fueled
It's
fervor.
just like
yeah.
there is a way to do this. And you would think like, oh, if you're writing a book in a short amount of time, you make a shorter book.
Yeah.
That way you can increase the
Uh-huh.
quality. It's short and bad.
Yeah.
So Trioculus is escaping.
Like a horrible gnome.
He forces Dunwell to stay on his
Oh,
ship.
right,
He blasts
yeah.
him with his dog whistle.
It's like it's Imperial policy to go down with the ship. Or something. It's like he's not an Imperial.
He's just like some sailor.
Yeah.
He's just some guy.
He's a whaler.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, then the thing blows up. The Whaladon hunting submarine, which
But
is
also-
never referred to outside of the entire name.
Which is also what he wanted. He
Yeah.
didn't want it to get captured.
Which what were the
he
rebels
should have
going to
been
do
happy.
with it? It seems like the
Hunt
Calamari,
whaladons.
who are all rebels, have pretty good underwater technology. They
Yeah.
have a city. Like
I don't know. And it's also like Dunwall, who seems pretty conniving and has like audio bugs in his office. But when
Yeah.
Trioculus says, "Hand me your key card for the escape sub," he says, "Okay."
yeah, but he says okay, and then he's like, "Wait, let me get in first."
shoot.
Yeah.
they're like,
wait.
"No."
No.
Shoot, I take
Yeah.
it back. Can I
Yeah.
go?
I made a mistake when
Yeah.
I said yes.
Well, here we go. So an evil smile spread across Trioculus's face as he clenched his gloved right hand into a fist. That hand no longer twitched. It now felt strong, invincible, and ready to rule the galaxy.
Yeah, he like feels the evil. He's
I
like,
guess.
I feel Darth Vader's evil.
Yeah. And does anything happen after that? They just get back to Yavin
They
4?
go to the opera, the
Yeah, they go
Leviathor
to-
opera
Leviathor
concert.
sings them all a song. Yeah.
They go to the concert. The program of Whaladon songs was spectacular. It included a water ballet, Whaladon folk melodies, classical Whaladon songs, and an opera Leviathor had composed that
Yes.
told the legendary story of how he had become the Whaladon leader many years ago by helping the Whaladon survive an undersea volcanic eruption.
It's an autobiographical opera that a whale sings.
that
So
nobody
this is-
can understand
Only
except for
Admiral
Ackbar.
Ackbar.
This is like
He's up there. He's like, he said that he took them away from the volcano.
also ballet and opera on their own are like hours long.
Yeah,
Like,
an
an
I was
opera-
just
whales
thinking
an
how
have
opera
boring
is like
this
can be
is.
like 4 or 5 hours long. A ballet can be like, I think, 2 to 3. I
Also,
I
like,
don't know, but this is like a full day of whale
Yeah.
entertainment. I don't think
I
no
think
one
it
wants.
sounds so. Also,
this.
like, isn't the thing about whale songs is they can be transmitted mostly through water?
Yeah.
Well, I think
You
they're
can still hear 'em
underwater.
in the air too.
They are underwater.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
but
know. It doesn't
but
clarify.
Is Luke underwater
no, I mean
'Cause they
maybe
talk about all
they
the-
must. They probably have some
in the
type
domed
of-
city of Aquarius?
In
Which
the-
they say
they
like
have-
8 times.
Yeah.
They're in the Aqua Theater.
Yeah.
That's right, the Aqua
Yeah.
Theater.
Yeah. Oh, and it says here that Luke couldn't enjoy it though because being back on. I guess they left and came back. They being.
Oh yeah, he does.
They go to Yavin 4, I think.
Leave and come back to go to
That's
this, but like,
right.
there's nothing about what they do when they leave. It's just like, so we came back to see this opera.
Yeah, it's like they leave to mention Leia one time.
Yeah.
And then they come back. And then Luke, oh, here we go. He says, as much as Luke enjoyed the concert, being back on Calamari made him think about those final fateful moments before the Whaladon hunting submarine had exploded, when he had glanced back and noticed the Imperial escape sub departing.
That's right. At the end of the meeting, when the
What did
spin
you
members are
glanced
departing.
back? Like into what? The wall of the sub?
Yeah, that's right. They didn't describe like
It's a big
specifically
fish-shaped
how he
sub.
glances back. This book constantly pings back and forth between the most drab over explanation and just completely bypassing anything of note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they adjourn a meeting on Yavin 4. It says where it all began, and my thought was like, wait, I thought it began on Tatooine. Like, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, all this. This is nothing.
Yeah,
Where all
yeah,
what
yeah.
began. But then the meeting adjourns, and Admiral Ackbar turned to Luke, 3PO, R2, and Princess Leia and says, On behalf of the planet Calamari, as a special thanks, I'd like to invite you all to be guests of honor at a special concert of whaladon songs at our domed city of Aquarius. Zoop bidoop! Squeaked R2 in a scolding tone. I'm
You don't
very
wanna
sorry
go.
to report, 3PO said in a disappointed voice, that R2 absolutely refuses ever to return to Calamari with
Yep.
me again. That is until I get a license to steer a Calamarian mini-sub.
Oh, because 3PO almost crashed, almost kills them all.
yeah.
If in case you forgot that, Luke laughed, remembering that 3PO's brief moments of piloting the mini-sub had almost been the death of them.
Yeah. In case you forgot.
It's a big laugh. Big
The
laugh
idea
for
of
everybody.
a scolding beep where he goes, "Boop-a-zeep-a-doop."
Which probably happened like 10 pages ago. Because this book is 55 pages.
It's like
You
reading
remember
the
that
back
thing
of a
that
cereal
happened?
box.
Yeah.
Like, you read it 5 minutes ago.
So the print version is, let's see.
The print
There's also,
version's like 90
there is a
pages.
preview in the back of this one for Eaten Alive, the first book.
It's a super long preview, and I would read it
Yeah.
every time,
It's the first book in the Galaxy of Fear
which
series,
has a crazy cover.
featuring the Aranda family.
Yes.
There's also
It's kind of spooky.
so the actual book part of this book
Before the
is-
glossary.
Before the glossary is 82 pages.
And then that's not counting the
pretty-
illustrations.
Pretty large
Right.
print, not including
Big
illustrations.
pictures.
A lot of pictures. So in the Kindle, when I brought it in, it was 55 pages, I think. And immediately, it calculates your like read time. 43 minutes.
Blasted
So,
through that sucker.
There was a point where I was like kind of worried about like, damn, we have to read these shitty books once a week, and now it's like, oh, yeah, I could do this like,
Yeah.
I could read this driving into work.
I started reading it, just kind of absent-mindedly, and I looked, I'm like, oh, 60% done.
Yeah, yep.
A couple of highlights, because we're getting to the end here.
Yeah.
Trioculus' eye has hypnotic powers,
Yes, but
which I don't
there's
think we mentioned.
there's also a time where he looks at him hypnotically, but it doesn't hypnotize. Like when Dunwall's trying to get into the sub,
I
it's
feel
like
like that was
he
an
peered
oopsie.
hypnotically with his eye, and Dunwall says, "No, please, you have to let me in."
It didn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
didn't work, or
work,
it
yeah.
didn't take.
And at the beginning, I didn't make a little note for myself that they
Uh-huh.
mentioned mile-long Star Destroyers, and that is correct. I think the Star
Oh.
Destroyers are like 80 feet short of a mile.
That's,
okay.
That's cool.
So they nailed that.
Good.
do they ever use miles?
I don't know.
In Star Wars, like
I feel
when
like
it said millions of miles, I was like, that feels wrong.
I feel like Star Wars does the metric system.
The hole in the Death Star is like 3 meters wide. or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Star Wars has always been metric system. It's like Game
Yeah.
of Thrones that does Imperial.
Do
For some
they?
re- yeah. Let's see. Slave Lord Boulevard.
Yep.
Oh, Trioculus got mad and he wanted to go hunt giant Fefs.
Oh right.
And then
yeah.
he wanted to go hunt star dragons on Kona.
And then they're like, but he didn't.
Yeah, but he didn't because Grandma Pissa could make the safari happen
Yeah.
soon
That's
enough.
right. It's so weird the way that they're like, and then this happened. Then it didn't.
In a
That's what I'm
paragraph,
saying.
he
It's
went to
written
another
like,
planet
it's
to
written
hunt
like
bugs.
a medieval text. And so verily Luke came to Calamar, where he encountered much resistance but defeated it.
And he left.
Yeah, and so went home, but came back to see the great opera.
Yeah, there is a whole paragraph, probably the biggest paragraph in the book, that does the Ackbar's little ecology lesson about whaladons and what they do for the environment.
Oh, about plankton.
Yeah,
And
or-
then
yeah.
this carbon dioxide buildup, and that
Yeah.
we could be living in another ice age.
It's like there's an environmentalist message contained in that single paragraph
Yeah.
that is like
It's-
very. It feels like it's trying to say something.
Did anyone else think of Birdemic?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
like shoehorned environmental
Just
message
crammed in
that's
there.
just like
Nice Mustang. Thanks. It's a hybrid.
It is a plug-in hybrid.
Wow. An inconvenient truth. What a great movie.
that was the vibe I got when he's like,
Yeah,
because if there's
yeah,
too
yeah.
much plankton, then the sun won't be able to penetrate
Yeah.
our oceans.
And it dedicates
Hanging out with the family.
having ourselves a party.
hanging out, listening to Whaladon Ballet.
Do we want to go get Vietnamese food after this?
So I had never read any EU stuff, so this was a real trial by fire.
Oh, yeah.
I never want to watch Star Wars again. I only want to read someone's half-assed understanding of it.
And there is so much.
so there's
God,
5 more of these books.
5 more
right?
of these,
Yeah.
yeah. Which the
Okay.
next one is called The Lost City of the Jedi. I don't know if you want to speculate at all. About
Which
what
is
that's
a
gonna be
thing that
about.
comes up in
The
real
Lost
EU
City
stuff,
of the
kind
Jedi.
of.
Yeah,
right?
it's like the old temples, right? Like kind
Oh,
of
wait,
like
I'm
those
thinking
are
of the
Fallen
Valley
Order
of the
stuff.
Sith, actually.
Yeah, like Korriban.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something
What
else.
temples are you talking about?
I don't know, the ones from Fallen Order.
Oh, well,
like
that's all like
Zepho
recent
and whatnot?
stuff. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, but that kind of stuff is what I was thinking. Is this a
There's
city of
ancient-
Jedi?
Are you talking about Woolamander, the Temple of the Woolamander?
See,
Maybe.
That was something mentioned in this book. I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? I think that is in something else.
I mean, there's been, I guess ancient Jedi stuff has kind of always been around
Yeah.
Star Wars.
But that's
it's weird
it's
because
like an
this
Atlantis
is,
thing?
you have to remember, this is
Maybe.
like the first thing.
Yeah.
This is the first, other than Heir to the Empire, the first like official real like EU thing.
Yeah.
it's weird because it talks about stuff that feels like the prequels. Like they have a handle on some things where I'm like, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of stuff.
Did George read this?
There's a lot of stuff in the
Probably had to approve it.
prequels that like I remember trying to figure out, because I remember knowing as a kid that Obi-Wan and Vader fought, or Obi-Wan and Anakin fought on like a volcanic planet.
There was like,
And that's where Anakin like got burned up and fell in a volcano or something.
yeah, it was some like book. that
It's
it was
the
like,
Return of the Jedi novelization.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
figured it out because I was trying to
Really?
figure out. I was like, why did I know that? Because it's not in like, I couldn't figure it out. It is the Return of the Jedi novelization has like chunks of that stuff in it.
That is really interesting to
came out
think about
before
where
this.
it came from.
I think all three
those
movie
came out like
novelizations.
with the, and they all have little like. I think the Return of the Jedi one especially has like a bit more embellished, like added stuff
Yeah.
than the others, but yeah.
So wild. Well, thank you guys for opening my eyes to just how bad Star Wars can be. I thought that I had seen the lowest points with the one episode of the Obi-Wan show I watched.
Right.
Are there more whaladons in this series?
I think this is it for whaladons.
Really?
I think this might be it for whaladons.
Maybe not, though. Who
Maybe
knows?
the meat. I
They
can't
might come
remember.
back.
The thing is, like, I have not read this since I was a child.
Yeah.
same.
Like all the stuff that like Patrick and I would bring up in videos was just things that I happen to remember
Yeah.
from when I would go to the library and I would borrow the same Jedi Prince books every week and read
Yeah.
them over and over and over again.
That's like me
Yeah,
with
I
my
loved
Ewoks
these.
Yeah.
cartoon VHS.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved these so much. Like there was not a shred. I mean, I was a child when I read them, but there was not a shred of like, wow,
You didn't realize how
this
much you were
sucks
being
shit.
like.
Yeah.
I was
Not
just
even
like,
pandered to.
whoa, new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. And there's stuff like that happens. I think like Queen of the Empire has some things like, especially with Han and Leia, that like continue on through the rest of Star Wars.
Yeah.
That like this is where we're getting their romance started. Like
Well,
where they
Heir
start,
of the Empire, they're kind of already, right?
I think they're married. They're already
Oh,
married in
okay,
Heir of the
okay,
Empire.
yeah.
But this is like Han and Leia. It's like we're gonna elope.
When did Disney throw out the extended universe? Was that 2014?
2014.
So
Yeah,
for
whenever they
22
bought-
years, this was written in stone?
No, these ones were like pretty immediately not canon.
Oh.
I don't think it was ever established like this is definitely not canon, but even if you go to like the Wikipedia or anything, it's like most people disregard this series completely.
It was a little more like, I mean, most things that got written would just be canon.
Yeah.
But like
Okay.
certain things where it's like, oh, it's a kid thing.
I
It's
don't
like,
think
eh,
Trioculus or
stupid babies.
Triclops or any of those
Yeah.
characters ever
We
show
didn't
up
even
in
talk about
anything else.
Triclops, how they talk about how mentally unstable
mad.
he
Yeah,
is.
he's insane.
Yeah.
That like
Yeah.
to give him the
This is the
power
real
of the
Emperor's
glove,
son, by the way. Yeah.
who does have 3 eyes.
Yes.
But well, you'll find out.
You'll
Yeah,
find out
He
more
does,
about it.
but it's a little different.
One's on. There's like a different
Little
orientation
different.
of the eyes. I
Butthole.
remember.
A little different.
Yeah.
Is it on the
Inside
back of his
anus.
Well, I can't spoil anything.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil.
okay.
That's a
anything.
good prediction, though. That's
Yeah.
a good prediction.
Well, I've edited enough
It's a good
Funhouse
prediction
videos
in that
with you
it's
guys
correct.
talking about this stuff.
And that is where it
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
mean
back
that's
of
how
his
I
head.
knew about whaladons.
Yeah.
Locity of the Jedi is our next destination.
Velocity,
Velocity of
velocity
the Jedi.
of the Jedi.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
quick. Remember Phantom Menace, where we say it's a standoff, and then Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go whoop.
I am floored by how
Oh,
bad these are.
yeah.
Wait, what?
Because I forgot about this scene. It only happens once. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan use
Super
like
speed,
force
force
run
speed.
speed, and they just like off screen.
I remember when we watched it in theaters.
Yep.
You were like out loud. You were like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
As they
Wait,
zipped off
like a
screen.
visual effect that they have like the Twilight run.
They just
It's-
they just go like
It's a little
quick
better
off-
than that.
Yeah.
It like
but
they just kind of zip super fast, and it's like they have a
When
blur
does that
and stuff.
happen?
It looks
It's
pretty good.
insane.
They're fighting the
In
droidicas.
the beginning.
Oh, on Naboo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're on the Trade
The very
Federation
beginning on the
ship.
ship.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, everybody. We're
Thanks for listening, folks, or watching if
This
you're a
has
patron.
been Galactic Book Club, so keep an eye and ear out for Lost City of the Jedi next week, episode 2 of Galactic Book Club.
Galactic Book Club. Da, 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 da.
Wait, let's I want to read off just some of the names that we drafted
Oh,
up.
yeah. Oh, right.
the
Oh,
series.
yeah.
Okay.
Untitled Star Wars book show podcast from the channel Astrogoblin.
That's pretty good.
The Dead
real.
Read. That's good. Rule of Pooh.
Uh-huh.
Now this is book reading.
The Sacred Text. That's
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
one. All-terrain attack pod. That's the vehicle from Revenge of the Sith with the
Yikes.
3
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah.
You only
That's
see a couple
terrible.
We
times.
could still title it if we don't want anyone to listen.
That's
Yeah.
true. What's the next one?
Non-canon book club.
Library Legends. Canon Poodoo.
Old Republic Library. We almost did that. And
My
then
personal pick.
this is like the unofficial name of the podcast. Darth Thanaton's Private Library.
No one knew. Not even you knew what that was. It was just a Wikipedia thing we like stumbled onto.
Like barely a paragraph.
Yeah.
Darth Thanaton's
Private Library.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
I've got a bad feeling about this.